Welcome to another riveting episode of Munster Hunters, the only show that dares to shun millions of hours of original streaming content to revisit a 50-plus-year-old sitcom about a Frankenstein monster and his grotesque family. I am Derek, and I'm a Munster Hunter. And joining me, as always, is Keith. Keith, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. I am Keith, and I am also a Munster Hunter.
And Keith is not calling in via satellite phone this week. He is live in studio.
Oh, but do I sound better now?
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay, because I forgot to put the microphone fully
talked
in front
into
of my
the
face.
microphone.
Yeah, all of a sudden you got way louder. Yeah.
Keith was
last week when I was on the road, I was using the headset, and back here in the studio, I forgot to actually move it in front of my face.
Well, Keith was in the recliner in full recline position.
Oh yeah. Optimal recording technique right there.
Yeah.
If I could just have like a bed and just put my mic up there, like leaning over my face, that's ideal.
That'd be awesome. And the other voice you're hearing, of course, is the Dr. Dre of Kansas. It's Terry.
Yep, that's me. I'm a Munster Hunter, and if I could just sleep and record my voice, just lay there all day doing Munster Hunter episodes, I think that would be the dream.
The dream. A day-long Munster hunting.
Yep. Just from my bed.
From your bed, yeah. I guess if
all
you're
right,
going to
we have a goal. If you hit that Patreon level, folks, we will do a day-long 24-hour Munster hunt.
Oh God, you couldn't pay me to do that, and that's what's literally happening with the Patreon.
Yeah,
I don't think I could handle it, Keith.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you what, like, I'm getting to the point where I enjoy watching the Munsters. No lie.
Yeah,
but one episode is enough. It really is. I'm really hoping. I keep saying it every week that they hit a groove. And we'll get like just amazing 20-minute episodes. But alas, here we are, season 1, episode 12, The Sleeping Cutie.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I lost all train of thought here, because this is what the Munsters do to me.
Mm-hmm.
They melt my brain. Should we just get into the Munster Hunters Almanac? Factoid fact of the week.
Brush off that dust. Open up the tome.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's forego anything fun and get right into the nuts and bolts of this episode. Going to the library, blowing the dust off. I lit a candle. I found the book. It is the Munster Hunters Almanac. I'm pulling it out. I'm cracking the spine. I'm passing it off to Keith. I'm altar boy to Keith's Munster priest.
That seems very weird. I don't think I want to go with that.
Well, I'm not Catholic, but I went to a Catholic school. Didn't like the altar boy, was he supposed to like hold the book up there so the priest could read from it and stuff?
Yeah, I think so. From my seat in the church, yes, that's what I saw, because I was never an altar boy.
I'm at
12 years of Catholic school and no altar boy.
Holy Munsters.
I'm in the back. I'm lighting all the candles and standing there solemnly nodding along.
Yeah.
All right. So as we started last week, when I was on set, when I was over checking some stuff out, we were talking about 1313 Mockingbird Lane, and figure we'll continue on a little bit of a series about those. Now, we talked about, everyone knows it's been used for the Munsters, and we talked about a bunch of other films and television that it was in, all the way up through Desperate Housewives in 2012. And today I want to talk about, there is a house in Waxahachie, Texas. Hopefully I pronounced that right. In 2001, they began construction of a fully livable recreation of the Munster home, inside and out, with initial construction completed in 2002.
Wow.
Al Lewis and Butch Patrick both appeared at the public grand opening.
Oh, that's cool.
The house comes equipped with a grand staircase which opens to reveal Spot, a rotating suit of armor, there's trapdoors, secret passages, Grandpa's electric chair, a pipe organ, the Raven cuckoo clock, a crooked bat weather vane on the roof, and even a dungeon complete with a trap door. Now, one thing that I heard about this is that there was no blueprints for the Munster house, so they rewatched every single episode and took tons and tons of notes in order to recreate this. And there's rooms that, like, obviously we don't see every room in their house through the entire time, so some of them they had to improvise a bit, but it is a whole thing that they have going on there, that they basically went through and looked at every single episode of the Munsters in order to figure out what this looks like. So many pieces in the house are actually from the show or are exact matches of items from the show. It's a living work, so each year they add more detail as they collect more items, things like that.
There's got to be a point where there's got to be diminishing returns, right? How much more can you find from the Munsters every year?
Well, actual props and stuff, probably, like, they got to run out eventually. But they, finding replicas or making exact replicas. I mean, they rewatch
of what?
I don't know. Every little bit, that giant mouse trap. I don't know.
There's only so much. There's actually a prop in today's episode that I better be at that house.
Yeah. The house was completely designed off of show footage, and they live there. Now, the other thing is, though, they also have a murder mystery that they have there. You get drinks.
Is it Munsters themed?
I'm assuming it's got to be.
It's got to be.
It says our murder mystery consists of 10 guests. Costumes are required for all guests. Come ready to dive into the story. Monthly murder mystery. Oh, there's a fee. Fee must be paid up front. Your seat will not be reserved until paid. Dang. Oh, it's $120 per guest. That's how they're making money off this. But it doesn't say it is exactly Munster themed, though. That's the weird part.
I hope it's mystery of, like, the death of Herman or something like that, and he's like one of the family members finally had enough and took him out.
Comedy went to get killed.
Well, it's been dead for a long time, as far as the show is concerned. Yes. Private tours are available. They open up 2 nights each year on the weekend of Halloween, and make it public for everyone to see. And since the death of Al Lewis, Pat Priest has returned to make multiple appearances at the Munster Mansion Halloween Bash. They select a local charity, and they donate all the proceeds from the event to that too. So it's got something that works out real nice there.
Oh, cool! After you said there's tours, I kind of want to go for, like, the after 8 tour. That's the adult where you can swear.
Oh, yes.
And ask him if any of these fuckers ever came out of the wall with, like, a dingleberry or a huge cum shot. That's what. That might be my life goal now. It's on the bucket list. Go to the Munsters house, go to a tour, and ask questions as sincerely as possible that are
just totally explicit and inappropriate. Yep. Yes.
I mean, as this show continues to explode and build up, I mean, we're gonna eventually have to make that trip.
We have to go there and I have to record it.
Live episode from the Munsters house.
Yeah, that would be so awesome.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing: do you think my general dismissal and at times pure dislike of the show would disqualify us from other Munster related things?
You think we're banned? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because I'm pretty sure that you get a private tour for $120 for up to 4 people. So I think as long as we paid and they allowed us to talk as we went through, that would be the best. They're giving a tour and we're just still talking about an episode.
Yeah. We're walking around with headsets on talking.
Yeah. And we're just talking. We're doing a whole episode like it's supposed to be while they're still giving the tour up front.
Yeah. They're trying to explain to us, oh, look, the stairs open. I'm like, please be quiet. We're trying to talk about episode 74 of the Munsters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you said it was a living piece of art. So maybe eventually someday they'll add a Munsters almanac with the factoids in it from every week.
You know what's really weird is that it's a living museum when really it should be an unliving museum.
Yes. Yeah, and it should only be open at night, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they're asleep during the day sometimes.
They're asleep during the day, except for in this episode where they clearly...
except for when it's convenient. Yeah.
Let me close it.
Oh.
Pass it back over to you.
I will put it back on the shelf.
I'm extinguishing the candles behind the
Where
altar.
these fuckers might come out of here with a huge load of shit.
I'm heading outside to the dock nearby.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What if you're covered in shit?
Yeah.
What better way to get it off than dive it in the water? When you put on SCUMA gear, you're supposed to get wet and then put it on, right?
Yes.
That's how it works, right?
Yep.
Like it slides on better that way or something like that. Right.
Sure.
So that makes sense, right? We're covered in shit. Dive in the water, get out, put on the SCUMA gear, get on the boat, go out, to international waters. Was it 3 miles? Do some gambling,
At least.
and then dive in.
Oh, yeah, we got to gamble first. Yep.
Yes, we got to gamble first, and then Captain Terry is going to take us down to the depths of hell.
This episode was directed by Norman Abbott. We've talked about him several times. There he
Hey,
is.
Norm.
We see him floating by. He's always so friendly. He's
Norm.
always so welcoming. He's directed 12 episodes of the Munsters. He did the unaired pilot. I won't go too deep. He's always just floating there. Seems like we see him every time. So, sometimes you just want to say hi. You don't really want to have a full-blown conversation with the guy. But I did notice he was in a Munsters documentary called The Munsters, America's First Family of Fright. Ooh.
But they're not scary.
I know.
Well, just Marilyn is. Marilyn's creepy as hell.
Terrifying.
Should have been like frighteningly funny or something like that. Maybe, that would have been more fun. But that's also
not that
maybe
either.
a lie. Yeah. I don't know. Name might be needed some work, but hey, there's just something. Maybe we'll have to watch that someday, way down the line.
I think that's in order.
Everything else.
I think once season 1 is done, we gotta find a palate cleanser.
Take a little
and then
break.
move on into season 2. Unless, of course, season 1 just really revs up and it's hilarious all the way to the end.
I think,
but we got like 20 episodes left of season 1.
There's time. They could get really, really good. So yeah, we floated past Norm Abbott, and we see a couple more familiar faces. Old James Allardyce and Tom Adair. They wrote this episode. We've also covered these guys. They wrote the Autumn Crocus episode. Is that how you say that? Where Grandpa wants to get married again. Blah blah blah. These
yada,
two,
yada, yada.
Yeah, you know
really
the drill.
Is a blah blah blah.
You know how that's gonna go. These two are partners. They wrote 9 episodes of the Munsters. James, he went to school to be a playwright. Tom, he was more of a musician, but he kind of helped write all the scripts as well. And yeah, they seem to be pretty good partners. But I did notice this time that Tom Adair was actually born in Newton, Kansas. So yeah, he's representing the Sunflower State. How about
Sunflower, geographical center of the United States.
So good for him, I guess. So we got some guest stars as well for this episode. We got Gavin MacLeod as Paul Newmar. He has 108 acting credits on IMDb, going from 1957 to 2014. It looks like his biggest claim to fame, from what I could tell, was from the show called Mary Tyler Moore Show. With 160 episodes, he was in every single episode of that show, where he played Murray Slater, maybe, is probably...
I think he's probably more iconic as was it Captain Stubing
on Love Boat. Yeah,
Love Boat is probably his most iconic role.
After his role on the Mary Tyler Moore Show and after the Love Boat, he used to be kind of typecast as like a kind of a rough, tough guy, but after those roles, he kind of just got stuck as like the lovable guy instead, and that kind of frustrated him after a while, it seemed. So he was kind of mad about getting typecast as that, but hey, he was successful.
He went on a killing spree to change that image.
Yes. He went on a brutal murder, but hey, at least he was on a pretty successful show. It's hard to complain about that.
No.
Then we've got John Hoyt as George Spelvin. He's got 255 acting credits on IMDb, going from 1946 to 1987. We'll actually see him again in another Munsters episode, but as a different character. He was in the 1960s movie Spartacus as Caius, and he was also in 1963's Cleopatra as Cassius.
Oh,
yeah.
Iconic roles.
Yeah. He leaped around a lot between TV and movies. His biggest recurring role was from a show called Gimme a Break, which is from the 80s.
Nell Carter. Gimme a break.
Oh, you've heard of that one too?
Yeah. I turned it into the Kit Kats.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What Gimme a Break was Nell Carter, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
I just love the fact that like Terry's like, it's this show. It says did a whole bunch of stuff on there. I'm like, yeah, I fully remember this. Terry's like,
that's just some show. Yeah.
Yeah. See, Terry forgets that we're old.
Yeah. This Give Me a Break show. Wow, parents weren't even thinking about Terry yet at that time, probably.
No, probably not.
No.
Nope.
Well, after seeing Nell Carter dance around, how could they not?
Yeah, who knows? But he was on 82 episodes of that as Grandpa Stanley Kaninsky.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so
I have vague memories of that.
He also, I guess he was known for his comedy routines in nightclubs before he started acting. He was apparently pretty good at celebrity impersonations, and he actually got hired as a Broadway actor because of that. So,
who'd he play in this episode? I can't remember.
Oh, he was one of those like two guys who show up.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He's the older of the two guys, right?
Yep. He was the guy who asked about compensation. Yeah, I think.
He looked damn old in that, though.
He did look old, yeah.
So he lived at least like 25 more years to be in a Nell Carter sitcom. And he looked like he was pushing 65, 70 in this episode. He probably wasn't, though.
He's an old man. You know, he played the grandpa on that show, so it makes sense. Sure. Then finally, we've got Grant Williams as Dick Prince. Grant has 45 acting credits on IMDb, going from 1954 to 1972. After high school, he joined the Air Force. He did that for 4 years, and then he started taking acting classes before he finally got some parts in Broadway and TV. But actually, his biggest claim to fame was being the lead actor in The Incredible Shrinking Man. I've never actually seen that movie, but I've read the book, which is pretty good. The director
was it the book or the novelization of the movie?
I believe it was the book, but you know, it's hard to tell sometimes. The director stated that they should have given Grant an Oscar because he kind of had to like imagine all of his surroundings.
He actually had to shrink.
Yes, he had to shrink himself to a minute size. It's kind of like what they do nowadays with CGI. He had to kind of just pretend everything was there. You know, he had to imagine it. So something kind of new and different. So that would have been pretty difficult.
Listen, if they're not going to give Andy Serkis an Oscar for Gollum or Apes, then this guy doesn't get one either.
Yeah, that second Apes, he really deserved it.
Hell yeah.
At least the nomination he should have got. He's fucking great in that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Andy Serkis is amazing. But he was also in a couple like kind of B movies, but he had pretty big roles in them. Like there's one called Brain of Blood, which is kind of like a Frankenstein monster-esque sounding thing. Like, you know, mad scientist brings life to some dead creature and puts a crazy brain in the body of this guy, and he goes on a killing spree. So, yeah, that sounded fun. And then there's The Leech Woman, which is about a doctor who discovers the secrets to eternal youth in an African village. And I guess she, like, extracts youth from people's, like, penile glands. So,
Penial or penile?
As one
Two different kinds of glands.
Well, the one that's in like your brain. That one.
That's the pineal, I think.
The pineal gland. That one. Yeah. But yeah.
I'm gonna leave it up to the listeners to which one I think it is.
What kind of movie is this exactly?
It's a B movie where they extract things out your dick.
But yeah, that's all I got. So we should probably head back up to the surface.
Yeah, it's time to come up for air. Pulling the ripcord. Parachuting our way back up to the top.
You guys weren't waiting me to tell you who was dead and who wasn't, were you?
Oh no, who's dead, Keith?
No. Yes, I just didn't know if that's what you guys were waiting for there. Before we pulled the ripcord to get out of water. I don't know how that was
dead.
I still don't know how that works, but yeah.
Man, that was a good SCUMA. Gavin McLeod. That's a good get. And when he happens, it's like. We'll talk about it when we get there.
Him this week. Yeah. Last week we had Commissioner Gordon.
This week Captain Stubing.
Yeah.
And also the grandpa from the Nell Carter show. I mean, it is.
And a bunch of other shows that Terry's never seen.
Yeah. Mary Tyler Moore. Okay, so this is season 1, episode 12, The Sleeping Cutie, which gets a Breaking Bad-esque 7.7, well, comparatively speaking. Like 7.7 on IMDb is like Breaking Bad's 10. So this is actually a very well-regarded episode on IMDb so far. And I shunned, I threw away the little description. I wrote my own. Marilyn accidentally drinks a Sleeping Beauty potion. That's all you need to know.
Yep, right? That's really all you need to know. It's ridiculous. I turn on my, I load up the old DVD player. I put in my DVD, and it's always got like the episode quote unquote summary, but it's literally just the plot of the entire episode. It's like, no, I want to watch the episode. I don't want to read this.
Don't want to read the wiki. I want to watch this.
I'm like averting my eyes and trying not to look as I press the play button. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Terry prints up a script that he found online. He reads along with it as he goes.
Yes. It's the purest way to experience the Munsters. Yeah.
We're going to have to find out if there's Munsters fanfic out there. I'm sure there is.
I 100% guarantee there's got to be.
And that'll have to be maybe that's a palate cleanser.
That'd be fun. Live script read of Munsters fanfic.
Yep. All right. So this episode opens up like others. Herman is grunting, but he's grunting mad this time.
Oh, he's mad. Yeah.
He's pissed
real mad.
Because Grandpa is trying to fill up his gas tank with water. This is so goddamn stupid. They're outside. They're out front. Grandpa's got the hose. Lily's like, just do it. And Herman lays it all out. It's crazy trying to turn water into gasoline with a pill. You goddamn right it is.
That is insane.
The craziest shit I've ever heard.
With a pill? Really?
With a pill. Not a powder, not a process, but a pill.
And we're gonna test it first using a car. That seems like a good idea. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And by the way, we've seen them have several cars. Why are they going to test it on like the cool car?
The cool car, yeah. They could have
his birthday
the
present
car from last week.
Yeah. No wonder Herman's mad. That's like his biggest birthday present he's ever gotten. It's like this great car. Probably costs millions of dollars.
Car.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. Every episode, it's like they have a premise and like, well, how do we get to that premise? Well, we have a Dracula that invents things. Let's make him invent something so ridiculous. Oh, God. Why? So anyway, he's got a pill that turns water into gas.
Yes.
And then there's this Lily's. So you can tell that they filmed it outside because it sounds 100% different than indoor filming.
Yep.
Like they used different microphones or whatever. It almost sounded like they went in and recorded it again. Or the record, like,
yeah. Grandpa looked like he was a little off on the lip sync every once in a while, I thought.
So
it's probably real windy out that day.
Probably was.
Retake the whole thing.
But Grandpa wants to fill up Herman's tank with water and put a pill in it. And Lily's like, let him do it. And then Herman says something. We find out that Grandpa invented athlete's foot, which is a terrible invention. It's just that's fungus.
That's why we should believe in him. Yeah, because he did this.
Yeah. But he's got an instant gasoline pill. And Herman's like, fine, just do it. Ruin my car. So Grandpa fills up the tank with water. And then he puts in this pill, and it's a large pill. I thought it was going to be like a Tylenol caplet. No, this thing is a comically large pill. And he stuffs it in there, and then it's like, what's happening? Clearly it's soap, but a bunch of soap foam is pouring out of the gas tank. And Grandpa's like, just let it go. Puts on the cap. Herman gets in the car. It starts up. He looks surprised. He drives off very quickly and then comes back in another straight line from the opposite direction. And my first thought was, he drove around the world. But
close.
He's like the Flash. He goes off in one direction, comes back from the horizon on the other. Nope. He just went around the block. Went around the block.
Oh, he is so happy. Herman, I've never seen Herman this happy, I don't think. He is filled with sheer joy after driving this car.
He's giddier than when he leaves after kissing Lily during the opening.
He is.
And he did it very quickly, too. Mm-hmm. He was very proud of the speed and the power. And then Grandpa said, what took you so long? Banger, as always. So the banger wraps up, as it always does. And then we see Grandpa writing out a letter, and Herman's like, "You're not sending crank letters to Dear Abby again, are you?" which makes you realize, man, Dear Abby was around for a long time.
Yeah, she was young and just getting going.
Yeah.
Is that like where the advice column that Dear Abby? Okay.
So for those that are too young to remember newspapers, there used to be a column in there called Dear Abby where you could write, and it was Abigail. Can't remember what her last name is. But she had a twin sister as well that also did an advice column.
Oh, interesting.
I can't remember what her name was either. And usually, like in Chicago, they were in competing papers. Like one was in the Sun-Times, one was in the Tribune. Anywho, so crank letters to Dear Abby, and Grandpa's like, "No, I'm sending a sample of my pill to the Reliable Oil Company."
What a name. What
Makes
a clever name.
They're reliable.
Yeah.
And then here it is again. We're going to be millionaires, I tell you, because every week I literally have an invention that can change the world in some way, mostly for the good, and will make us millionaires.
Yeah, we're 11 episodes in. I think this is like the 5th or 6th one of these where like
it is,
especially if you consider him like fixing Charlie's uranium extractor. Like he's had so many of these things, and that doesn't even include like the robot that he puts together. But he just like, okay, we get it, Grandpa. Like one of these has got to hit, right? I mean,
it makes sense because I think it was a couple episodes ago. Terry was telling us about in the SCUMA moment, the creators like wrote these movies about crazy inventors, a crazy inventor, and cast Herman in them. Clearly, these guys have an idea. They want to make a series about a crazy inventor. But the network was like, no, that's too crazy. And then they're like, well, okay, what if we have a family of monsters? And they're like, well, that's very less crazy. Let's do that. So then they just shoehorn in this inventing thing.
Yeah, because Dracula happens to also be a mad scientist in this. Like, shouldn't that be like a separate character?
Yes.
You think?
There should be a mad scientist character and a Dracula character. Not a Dracula mad scientist.
Never really thought about it till now, but yeah, that's kind of weird that they don't have like. Couldn't Lily have been the mad scientist, or or swapped it? She's the vampire. The grandpa could be the scientist. Like,
yes,
they're both like vampires. It seems. I mean, really, Lily doesn't do that much creepy stuff besides float around every once in a while. But
yeah, I don't know.
Cook huge amounts of oatmeal.
Lots of oatmeal,
too.
And as we'll see later on, finger sandwiches. Very well done.
Yeah.
So, Grandpa, we're gonna be millionaires. I tell you, Herman wants Grandpa. Now, Herman, very altruistic. Let's share this with mankind, which would be the best thing ever. And he's like, I will 50-50. They get it. I get the money.
I like that.
Oh, jeez.
That was pretty funny, I thought.
And then in walks Marilyn, and she looks ragged. But everybody's like, oh, you look great. Those bags under your eyes. You look so ravishing or splendid or whatever. She's like, oh, I just can't sleep. Everybody's like, did you try this, try that? And Grandpa's like, did you try hanging from the rafters like I do? And she goes, I tried, but I don't have the toes for it, which made me laugh. I chuckled a little at that.
Yeah, Marilyn's funny. I'm always excited when she like seems like she's going to get like a main part or something in the show, because she has a lot of fun. Her character is interesting. She could have been the mad scientist. That would have been awesome. She kind of is. She helps with the robot that one time.
She's always helping it with inventions. She's always so agreeable. Like they're always like telling her how terrible of a hideous being she is. Just like, I'm trying so hard.
Yeah. The only time she wasn't agreeable was when Herman was like, Marilyn, do you think I'm fat? And you don't think I'm fat,
do you? Pulled at her
she
collar.
Yeah. And she's always like, she's always the one to sniff out the BS whenever something's coming in, trying to trick him. Yeah.
She's the voice of reason and whatever. But anyway, Grandpa's like, you're tired. I'll whip something up for you. No big deal. And then I think she said, I feel like the Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And Lily hit something like,
I'm dead on my feet. Yeah.
I'm dead on my feet. And aren't we all? Because she's a vampire and, whatever.
Yeah.
So Grandpa set this off. We cut to the Reliable Oil Company and they have the pill. And then apparently this is one of those the oldest wheezes in the business.
Yes.
Good word.
Happened before.
Wheeze.
Yeah.
So it's a scam. I guess lots of people were doing this. like a lot of the things that Grandpa is involved with, getting uranium from seawater, turning, creating life from the basic core elements.
That's the biggest scam.
Yeah, he's like Full Metal Alchemist there, and he's got the equation. You just can't make it happen.
Mm-hmm. And when you try, it goes horribly wrong. Yeah.
They're like, so these guys, they're in a very familiar looking office. I think it's the only office that this show has. And they're like, well, it's the oldest wheeze in the business. My favorite line, wheeze. He's a crackpot. And then dude, we find out later is Dick. He's like, well, I'm going to just put this pill in this pan of water, which we happen to have a cake pan of water sitting over here. Puts in there and starts to bubble, foam, and then it explodes and bursts into flames.
Yeah,
which clearly indicates that it's gasoline.
That's not safe for the I think maybe that answers some questions later, but maybe that's not safe to
as opposed to any other like weird concoction somebody could make up and be like, ooh, if you add this in there and all of a sudden it explodes and bursts into flame. Oh, it's gas. Get down there right away.
Gas is highly combustible, spontaneously combustible, actually.
Yeah, nobody was like smoking and their ashes accidentally fell in or anything. Nope. No, it just explodes.
Burst into flame. Mm-hmm. And what I thought was interesting is the canned audience was like, oh my God. They were like, ooh, they were like shocked and surprised by it.
It was a big explosion. I was kind of shocked too.
And there were real flames blasting out of there. And then the old guy is like, did I say crackpot? I meant get that old genius signed up, because clearly this is gasoline.
Yep, makes sense. Perfect sense.
So then Grandpa's in the lab working on his instant gasoline formula. And did you notice how jacked up Grandpa was about this invention? He was like,
gonna make him millions of dollars.
He was really stoked about this, man. He was. I mean, I guess if you made a thing that turned water into refined petroleum, that'd be something. But he was just like, really, like, I gotta get this going, get it right. And Herman's standing over his shoulder watching him, and kind of like backseat driving.
Yep.
And Grandpa's like, "Can you just get out of here?" And Herman's like, "I could help you." And only reason I wrote this down to go over is because the response. I've been around labs long before you were born, because he's a Frankenstein's monster. His parts were all. But that makes me think that Herman's pieces are centuries old, and just like put in preservative and then assembled in 1851.
Yeah,
well, Grandpa was trying to find all the perfect parts,
I guess.
So it's like his like brain and like eyes in a jar, and he's just like watching as the scientists were working, and he's like, interesting, taking notes in his brain.
Yeah.
And so Marilyn comes in, and she's like, "Got that cure for insomnia yet?" And Grandpa's like, "Jesus Christ, get off my back, woman!"
Yes, annoying.
It's like,
I'm trying to make a gas pill.
I'm making $1 million gas pill. Go drink yourself to sleep. Figure it out. So Grandpa's like, fine, I'm going to hypnotize you. And so she sits down, he gets out the watch, and he starts swinging it back and forth. Once again, he's got to have some weird incantation. He's a vampire, he's a man of science, and he's a magician, all wrapped into one.
So he's casting
abracadabra.
Like, spells.
What's that?
He's always casting some sort of spell, and he's got to say this long, drawn-out line. Yeah.
Yes. Abracadabra, hop-toad pie. Look your grandpa in the eye. When your grandpa counts to 3, fast asleep you're going to be. Now, I don't know if you were watching, but he was like really swinging that watch, and she was like really following with her head.
Now, I've seen like on other shows where they're going to do the hypnosis thing and stuff, and somebody does that, and it's just, you see the person's eyes swing back and forth. Her whole neck and head are like swaying back and forth, back and forth.
And that's the point of hypnosis too. They tell you like, just follow with your eyes, follow the pencil with your eyes, whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
The other issue I have here is his incantation. Says when your grandpa counts to 3,
fast asleep you're going
to be. And Herman is the one who falls asleep.
And then Herman collapses.
He's not, but they call him Grandpa, but he's not Herman's grandpa. No.
Nope.
And Marilyn's just like, well, I'm still the same
I don't think
thing
it's Marilyn's grandpa either, right? Because I think it's Lily's grandpa.
No, she's Lily's. He's Lily's.
Oh yeah,
father.
Lily's dad.
Yeah.
Father. Whatever. It's all a kind of forgiveness.
So I just thought that was weird though, that the incantation was, look at your grandpa, and when he counts to 3, you'll be fast asleep. Well, the guy who's falls asleep is not. Also, you saw that coming a mile away.
Well, of course. Now that we're talking about the lineage here, as we discovered last episode, that was confirmed that Grandpa put him together. So Grandpa would also be Herman's father, right?
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah, that's true.
And his daughter and his son are married. Okay.
But it's not like an incestuous thing there, right? There's no like blood relation. I don't know.
Like stepfather. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's no Game of Thrones. So.
No. So Herman falls asleep, not Marilyn, of course, blah, blah, blah. Grandpa says, all right, I'll mix you up a sleeping potion. Lily comes down with a telegram from the oil company. They're sending someone over tomorrow. So Grandpa gets super excited. He's going to mix up a batch of his gas pills. I'm going to make a bunch of gas pills. And then make Marilyn a cure for insomnia. Lily's upset at Herman because he's sleeping on her floor. And she tries to keep a tidy dungeon, something like that. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Which I also thought weird was because she's always doing the opposite of like, instead of like a clean dungeon, like, she should be happy that he's, knocked the dust around or something like that.
Well, maybe he's clean. He's absorbing the dust and then pisses her off.
Like a Frankenstein monster laying in a dungeon really does add a lot of ambiance, I think.
Yeah, so, I agree. Every dungeon should have a Frankenstein's monster in it.
Mm-hmm.
So Herman and Lily on the couch, Herman on the paper, Lily knitting, I think. There's an explosion again. And it's like, it's just Grandpa and his experiments. Herman's all upset. And he says something like, why couldn't I have a normal father-in-law who goes to church at night and plays bingo? Which makes,
So my grandpa. Okay.
Yeah. Lily's he wants some attention. And then Lily, the only purpose this scene exists, right, is so Lily can re-emphasize the plot that we were privy to from the previous scene. Right? We know what's going to happen because it was all laid out in the previous scene. Then she goes, plus he's got to make his gas pills and sleeping pills for Marilyn. We know this. It just happened 30 seconds ago. You don't have to spell this out for us. We're not that stupid.
Yeah, just because time has advanced like several hours on the show, you don't need to tell us it was 30 seconds ago.
I'm going to tell you what, if I would have paused the episode there, walked away for an hour and come back, I'd still know what was going on. I'd still know.
Oh, man. I would love, how those MTV shows have like like Big Brother where they have cameras over the house? I'd love like a live feed of the Munsters household where I could just like tune in on Twitch or something and watch like different cameras and just seeing what the Munsters are doing for hours.
Well, it's wild. That episode, Grandpa invented that. Remember?
Oh, he did.
TV did all that stuff.
I forgot about that.
Magical cameras.
Dang.
Yeah, including the all with post-war
surplus.
Parts.
Yep,
post-war surplus. Yeah.
Yep. Take it all back. Grandpa's a genius. He really is.
Marilyn comes shuffling in. She's dead on her feet. She goes to see if Grandpa has a cure yet. So she goes down, and then Grandpa, this is so fucking stupid. He's like, there you are. And he's got a beaker. He's like, I finally found you. And then Marilyn comes down and scares him. He drops it and breaks. And you're just like, oh.
Great. Yeah.
Yep. And then he's like, you'll scare me out of my skin. You know how hard it is to get back into it.
That's disgusting.
Decent line. I liked it.
That's pretty funny. I would like to see that scene, though, of him, like, crawling out of his skin.
Crawling back into his skin. All of his exposed musculature.
Mm-hmm.
So Grandpa's like, yeah, I got a sleeping potion already, but he can't find it, of course, because he's a disorganized klutz. He finally finds it, and he's like, oh, let me put a head on it for you. And he pours something in there, it gets all foamy, and he gives it to Marilyn. She chugs it. He's like, I feel the same, and then passes out. Grandpa catches her and puts her on Herman's slab. And then, now we got the dicey racist part here. Grandpa pulls out a blanket that says "Souvenir of Custer's Last Stand," and then the war drums play, and then he pulls it up and tucks her in. Nighty night. Gives her a kiss. Felt weird. Like it looked like he kissed her on the lips. Didn't it?
Grandpa's no prince. I guess that kind of tells us that.
No.
Oh, spoilers.
And Al Lewis was really going in for the kill there. He's like, here's my chance. See, exactly. We have the good morning scene. It's breakfast at the Munsters. It's morning at the Munsters. That means breakfast. Because we all know that they stay up all night and go to bed in the morning, except for when breakfast is involved, which is every day.
Every day.
So Herman comes down. Good morning, good morning. Eddie slides down the pole. Grandpa comes in. They're all saying good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. They sit down. No Marilyn. Where's Marilyn? She's still asleep at the lab. Eddie goes to wake her up because she'll be late for class. So Marilyn goes to school. Clearly, it's the daytime, right? It's not like, well, maybe they mean nighttime is morning. No. It's
like night classes or something. Yeah, I don't know.
Yep. So Eddie leaves, and he's a good boy. And then Herman's like, except he won't throw out his trash. Then he gets up, and there's this giant barrel can of dog food for Spot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Just like, almost like a prop.
It's a 100% a prop.
No, like you would see at a store. Like if you went in and like all the cans, like the smaller normal size cans stacked up next to it. Yes. And here's the one big one that's just a sign to tell you it's here. That's what it looked like.
That.
But the crazy part is like he doesn't even clean up after himself. And then Herman just picks it up and throws it out the door.
Yes.
Not cleaning it up either.
Yep.
What a weird scene that is, right? Like, why do we need this? It was funny to me because I always like Herman when he's a little grumpy, and I think he's like really mad about this for some reason.
Yes,
but it's just such a like fluff. Like, there's no point. It's just like a weird joke.
Also, like, why do they have to remind you that Eddie's a good boy? What, like?
Oh well, it's always nice to remember he exists because he hardly ever shows up in any of these.
Eddie has the moment of the episode though later on.
Oh, he does.
He does. He does. Yes.
Yeah. So, but it felt like that prop was like there was a challenge put to the Munsters crew. They're like, who can come up with the best prop? And then like, we'll put it in an episode, and somebody came up with this one. And they're like, well, we got to ride around this prop now. So
they just had it laying around the studio and like, we need to freshen up the place. Let's add a giant dog food can. Why not?
Yeah, and it's huge. It's a barrel.
It's like the size of Herman. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very large. He just picks up, throws it the window, makes a clanking metal sound. So Grandpa, like, are your pills ready? Oh, I still got to go work on them. I got distracted by Marilyn. And Herman tells Grandpa he'll revolutionize motoring. We'll all need credit cards to buy water. Little does he know that that's what we do now.
Yep.
Eddie comes up. Marilyn will wake up. I shook her, and she just lies there. And then the Munsters are like, oh, no. So they run downstairs.
Marilyn is dead. That was my first thought.
This is the part where I was like, the people that made the house didn't watch this episode. Because previously to get down to the dungeon, you had to go to the trap door.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
This episode, they just go down like a staircase that's off the back of the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes to the same staircase.
Interesting. I didn't think about that. Yeah.
It bugged the crap out of me.
Well, yeah, I wonder which way is correct. I guess we'll have to go to that place in Texas and see how they did it.
Find out.
Yeah.
I want to see where that pole leads to as well. Yeah. So they get down there. Grandpa's trying to wake her up. Herman's trying to wake her up. Nothing works. Then Grandpa's like, oh, boy, I must have gave her the Sleeping Beauty potion.
See,
like, where the fuck did that come from? There was no mention of it prior.
No. I thought they were going to mix it up.
Because the episode's called Sleeping Cutie, so they had to make sure that they fit that in there.
Yeah. This episode's a whole, like, theme gimmick episode. That's fine.
By the way, also, if it is just, like, it's going to be the whole thing about a Sleeping Beauty thing, why did they have to... is that, like, just the copyright thing is that they couldn't use Sleeping Beauty for the episode name? Did they make it Sleeping Cutie? Because, like,
yeah, that's weird.
Especially because none of them think that Marilyn's cute. They think she's like hideous.
Somebody does towards the end.
Maybe it's a sarcastic cutie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, I thought Grandpa had like given her the gas pill on accident somehow.
That's
like,
what I thought too.
All the water in her body turned into gasoline.
I was hoping she just exploded.
or that Grandpa's gas pill also like works as like a a weird like sleeping pill type thing.
Yeah,
well, I guarantee you'd be in for long sleep if you took it. If it turns all water into gasoline, your body's like what 70% water. So
you'll be sent to the long sleep after that.
But Grandpa's like, I gave her the Sleeping Beauty potion, but she can't be woken up with a kiss from a prince. Blah blah blah. And then, as soon as he says that, there's a knock at the door. Liz like, well, I'll go get that. And Herman wants to know, where can we find a prince at all? Who knows? It's not like we can put an ad in Craigslist. So then Lily answers the door. It's a handsome man, and he's very startled by Lily.
He's acting very strangely, yeah.
I like him.
I could not tell if he was startled by her or if he was like enchanted by her.
No, he was scared.
I thought he was starstruck. I thought he was nervous.
He was like,
he didn't know what was up because like the house spooked him. She spooked him.
I liked his performance. I thought it was funny. I was just like, this is usually because people are like, and they flip out whenever they see a Munster. And he acted a little bit, which is nice. He doesn't act exactly the same as every single other person in the show does when they see these Munsters.
But he's from the Reliable Oil Company. Yep. Lily says, you gotta leave. There's a domestic crisis. He's like, what? I mean, I felt like he had to fly in, right? Didn't it seem like it was a travel for him? So like we'll be here, not like we'll be here today. Like we'll be here in a couple days, blah blah blah. But he just wants to come, and he's like, nope. I get back to the dungeon. Peace out, oil boy. So
and he leaves. He's like, dungeon.
Yeah, it's like dungeon. So we get back. Herman is scolding Grandpa. It's like, why did you even have that laying around? You're so disorganized. Just berating the man.
Yeah.
And Grandpa's like, fine, I'll get rid of the Sleeping Beauty formula right now. If only I can find it. Oh, there it is. Here it is, this piece of paper by all of my work stuff, by what area I've been working. I will just burn it blindly without reading what it is.
Yep.
Because here's the thing. He had a Sleeping Beauty potion. He didn't make the Sleeping Beauty potion, did he?
I don't think so.
Like at the time?
Yeah, no, it sounds like he just had to lay it around. Yeah.
He didn't even need to look at the notes to make it, so I don't feel like it matters that
he just had it laying around. He's like, well, okay, well, here's the formula. I'm just going to burn it. Why? He burns it, and you're like, well, I know what that was.
But does he also go, he also goes, and like, even when Herman then hands him another one, it's like, what is this? Like, earlier, Grandpa was like, all right, let me check the recipes in the book. So the thing is still in the book someplace.
Yeah, it's all screwy Gaduku. I don't know what that means. Screwy Louie.
Yeah.
Screwy Kaduku as well. Count Dooku.
So
he burns that piece of paper. The Herman's like, well, if that is a Sleeping Beauty formula, what's this piece of paper that says Sleeping Beauty formula on it? Blah, blah. And Grandpa's like, what? Huh? And it's that whole, like, if that's that, then what's... Oh, no. Like, come on. And so... Yeah. He confirms what we already knew. He burnt the gas formula.
Yeah.
And then I love this line. I think it was supposed to mean a dig, but I loved it. Grandpa, you are the world's oldest goofball.
Yes.
And then there's just sadness. Grandpa's like, I screwed up again. Herman's all angry at him. I like that. I just like the world's oldest goofball. I call my kids goofballs all the time. I didn't know it was like a derogatory thing.
Maybe it's more serious back then. Yeah, nowadays you just call anybody a goofball.
Take that back, sir.
Could it be probably heard like the audience like,
you said goofball? Can they say that on TV? They did. Oh, he went there.
Herman's serious this time.
Yep.
At least he didn't say knucklehead.
No. Oh, shoot. Yeah. Can't say the K word. So back at Reliable Oil, domestic crisis. They're stalling. They're playing hardball. The Munsters. Once again, we have people in charge of a company thinking the Munsters are trying to milk them for all that they're worth, right?
Yep.
And so, just like the gas company before, now it's this gas company. They're like, oh, they're trying to get all out. And he's like, Dick, gotta get back out there and get that contract by hook or by crook. So he gave him the ultimatum because if he gets that contract, it's a vice presidency.
Yeah, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, no kidding. So Dick, we know his name's Dick.
Mm-hmm.
He has all the pressure on him now. He's got to get this contract. And the Munsters were there. They're weird as hell. He knows it, but now he's got to like really whatever it takes to get them to sign on the line. So now we cut back. Grandpa's holding frogs, duds, not a prince in the whole bunch. I enjoyed that.
You just got a glass full of frogs in there, yeah.
And Herman is looking in at the frogs, very disappointed. He's got a very disappointed face. I like it. He's like, why can't you frogs be better?
Yeah.
And then Grandpa says they just don't make frogs like they used to in Transylvania.
No, of course. Nothing's like the old country.
Yeah, and Herman's like, you're old school, Grandpa. Me and Lily are the new hotness. We're going to do it the sensible way. We're going to put an ad in the paper.
I do like
Genuine
this whole competition.
Prince, young and handsome, white steed optional, temporary employment, fringe benefits. And they laugh at the fringe benefits part, which must mean it's like, oh, you get to kiss this hideous young lady. So Grandpa says, you won't get frogs. You want to get frogs with that ad. But he's wrong because there's already 2 applicants and Lily's going to interview. And Herman laughs at Grandpa.
Okay, by the way, how long has she now been out at this point? Because
days, it feels like.
Because he's been trying to figure out, like, how to correct. He's been maybe he had to go catch all the frogs first, I guess. I don't know. But then, like, they took the time to write and then put it. They got to send it to the paper.
It's in the paper,
in the paper, plus some responses, and she's already got 2 people like lined up already. I mean, like, I was like, how long is this going on?
She's been out for a while. She genuinely needs an IV.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she will die soon. Yeah.
She's very dehydrated at this point. Poor Marilyn.
Yeah, she didn't ask for this.
There are applicants, and there's a couple of guys standing there, an old guy and a young guy. Yep. The young guy, I immediately thought he looked a lot like the doctor.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
It's like, is this the doctor? And I had to pause it and Google it, and it is not. It was Gavin McLeod, right?
Mm-hmm. He's kind of got like a strong personality, kind of like the doctor does, but in a better way, I think.
And he was always contorting his face, so I couldn't really tell, and he's like hunched over, and he's real weird. But they were actors. And then the old guy's like, these off-Broadway theaters are getting weirder all the time. And then like, oh, they're already in rehearsal because Lily comes out. She goes up the stairs and comes out the trap door, right?
Yep, you're right. That is
out the trap door, and they're like, ugh. And then she's like, we need an authentic kiss. And they're like, well, what's our motivation? Yes. What's the salary? Like, for this kiss? He's like, this is a fascinating theater you got here. She's like, this isn't a theater, it's our home. And they're like, But the motivation, Lily's like, well, that's a good idea. So she calls for Herman to bring up Marilyn. They look around, Herman comes up, and they're like, holy shit. And they bolt. Because, honestly, if you see a Frankenstein's monster come out of the cellar carrying an unconscious woman, you're probably scared. And I would be too. And
Herman's really playing it up.
That, like, if he just came out without her, you still would have to take off.
But the unconscious woman adds something. It's got a very monster creature from the Black Lagoon quality to
it.
Yeah.
Well, and Herman, like, he looks like straight out of those old, like, Universal. Like, he's playing it up. His eyes are, like, rolled back in his head as he's, like, walking out. Like, he looks like, for whatever reason, he doesn't always look like this, but whenever he makes a great entrance, he always looks like the horrible Frankenstein's monster of the old.
Yeah, his eyes are kind of like always like half open type. Like he's always like and then he answers the door and goes, "Oh, hey." How you doing?
Maybe that's his resting face. You know how people say sometimes the resting face just doesn't match your personality. Well, that's just Herman's resting face.
But then Herman's like, "Did you tell him about Lily's looks?"
God.
And, or Marilyn's looks, and Lily's like, "Oh, I forgot." And then then she says this: "I love her so much, I keep forgetting about her handicap."
These jokes are so weird because it's like, do they not think anybody else in the outside world is hideous? They think just Marilyn's hideous.
Just Marilyn.
Like, it's so weird.
Yep. Yeah, they don't notice that everyone else in the world is hideous. Yeah, and that Marilyn might fit in with hideous, but they don't. They don't accept that.
They don't realize that apparently, in their eyes, they're like the most attractive people in the entire planet. But.
Yep. And then here comes Dick. He's back. reliable oil company guy walks up. He's weirded out by the wind from around Munster's house, which is weirded out. He gets to the front door, doesn't it? Oh, it's open, right? And then there's a growl, and it's Spot.
Yeah, we still have never seen Spot, but we've heard him growl.
He doesn't look right in yet. He just hears the growling, and he's like, ugh. And then Lily comes out and shoos off Spot and says, he must have thought you were the new milkman. He's like, do you not like milkman? He's like, no, he loved the last one. He just kept burying him in the yard. Oil company guy wants to talk to Grandpa. And Lily's like, no. Nope, can't do it. He pulls out his card, and he's like, we'll match any offer. And then Herman's hand comes from off screen and grabs the card. And Lily says, you just can't. It's one of those days where everything goes wrong. And then Herman grabs him and brings him in, which I really enjoyed this. And then, so he brings him in. The oil company guy asks, is that Spot?
I love that. That was so funny. Yeah.
No, Spot's an animal. This is my husband.
Yes.
But here's why Herman invited him in. Because on his card, it says his name is Richard A. Prince. And then Lily says, finally, our prince has come. And then it starts playing like that music, that Prince.
Yeah. Like the fairy tale happy music. Yeah.
Fairy tale music. They couldn't be too Disney with it because I'm sure that's copyrighted.
They play it when Grandpa's explaining the whole Sleeping Beauty thing too, and that music adds a lot to that scene. It was like making me laugh. How like fairies like, oh, it's so beautiful. It's like,
they play it a couple of times, and it's funny.
Yeah.
All right, so Herman brings them in and gathers everyone around the table, and this is where the clip comes in. All right, here we go.
Then you really have royal blood in your veins?
Oh, yes. Thank you. I understand that's how we got the family name. Of course, it was a long time ago.
Well, as they say, old blood is always the best.
Finger sandwiches?
No, thanks. You're all being so nice to me, I can't help thinking there's a catch to it. It's almost as though I were being fattened up for something. Isn't that silly?
So that moment there, that little Eddie laugh, I'm going to back it up a little bit here.
Oh. So nice to me, I can't help thinking there's a catch to it. It's almost as though I were being fattened up for something. Isn't that silly?
Eddie does that laugh, and he's sitting very closely to Dick Prince, and he's making that giggle, and oh my God, it made me laugh out loud.
I laughed out loud. I'm sitting here. My wife, she had headphones on. I don't think she heard me, but I laughed very loud at that giggle
because it was demented.
Yes,
yeah, very much
evil, and that was amazing. Yeah.
It's legit the first thing that has actually sounded creepy on this show. It's not like they're just a goofy set of monsters. No, he sounded like he was gonna do something to that guy.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Well, let's just finish out this scene because it's a pretty good scene. It explains everything that's going to go on here. So let me share again.
Oh, what a sense of humor.
Well, Dick, my boy, I'm ready to do business with your company.
But Grandpa, didn't you BURN the you-know-what?
Please, let me handle this.
I have the forms right here, sir.
Not so fast. There's just one little thing.
Oh, if it's a matter of money.
No. It's not a matter of money. You see, it's a matter of tradition. Now, you see, we're from the old country, and we have a family custom that before we discuss a business deal, the party of the second part, that's you, must kiss the youngest member of the family.
He looks right at Eddie and smiles.
Kiss him?
It's so crazy. Eddie is the show stealer in this episode.
Yes.
I kiss the youngest. He looks at Eddie. Eddie's got those 8-year-old kid's teeth. They're big and sticking out all over the place. He's got this big grin on his face. Kiss him? No.
Now she then explains that the youngest female. However, I thought they were gonna put something in there that would make it sound like Marilyn is actually the youngest, because Eddie's a
Oh,
Wolfman,
yeah.
that he was somehow older than her. Is what I thought they were going to go with there, but it's still like especially right after that little it was just killing me. Yeah, Eddie's parts in this entire episode. He still got one other little bit that kind of got me here. Yeah, definitely. This is the whole thing that steals the whole episode.
Yep. And then they're like, "Well, I've got to warn you. The youngest female, she's not as good as looking as us. She's hideous, right?"
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And Dick, he's like, by hook or by crook, I gotta get them to sign this. But it's like, I can't do it. I can't go kiss this creature because he assumes it's a creature, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, no worry, you can close your eyes. And then I believe Herman called her the ugly duckling of the family.
He did, yeah.
Yeah. And at some point, I mean, like, okay, so obviously in this, Marilyn goes along with this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes, aren't you going to be like pissed at your family for like telling other people that you're the hideous, ugly duckling of the family? I'm like, what the hell? Like, if she were ever overhear them saying this, like, she should be like super
She
pissed
hears
the
it all
whole
the
time.
She's just like, I get it. I'm a terrible human being.
Mm-hmm.
But so they all go to the dungeon. Igor's flying around, and Grandpa tells him no snacks between meals. And Dick's like, well, this is I can't handle it anymore.
Yeah.
I made it this far, but a hungry bat? No, thank you. But the Frankenstein monster in the room grabs him and is like, no, you can't run off. And he says, this is Marilyn. And Dick's like, this is Ugly Duckling? And like, yeah, I'm sorry. And he doesn't even waste a second. He just goes and he's like, well, I'll kiss this girl all day. He goes and instantly kisses her.
That
and
music chimes in again right away too, right? As soon as he sees her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she wakes right up. And now Grandpa's like, well, now we can go discuss the deal. We're like, yes.
Yeah, he's like, no, I got more business.
Yeah, he's like, nah, I'm going to kiss Marilyn some more. And he goes in for more, and she's like, that's cool. I don't know who you are, but I'm down
cool
with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're going in it pretty good. And Grandpa's like, stop. And Herman's like, stop. And they just will not stop. They can't break it up.
Mm-hmm. They should probably just go upstairs and wait for a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
This could be a while.
Yeah. So weird. Like I get it. She's very attractive, and that's an aggressive move by Dick A. Prince.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just like, all right, that's cool, right? I'm down. I'm cool.
Well, she's also strapped down to the table still too.
No,
probably,
I think she's
right?
just laying on it. I think she's laying on it. Like she's strapped in. She's got the blanket on her.
That's true.
It has racist elements to it. All right, so now we come back. They're all in the living room, and Dick is ready to do business. Dick's here for biz. Herman tells Grandpa, it's like, you got to tell him. He tries to. Grandpa's like, well, here's the deal, see? And Dick's like, just need to sign here, and we'll give you $50,000 to keep the formula off the market. And Grandpa, he's all into it. He's like, 50 grand. Before, he's like, we're going to be millionaires. But now, because of circumstances, I get it. 50 grand to keep it off the market, you got it.
Yeah. Ask no questions, just take the money. Yeah.
Yeah, but Herman, he's like, you can't do that. He'll sign the contract, but he won't take the money. And Grandpa's like, what? And Lily says, well, you helped our little girl. And Grandpa begrudgingly signs. And then Marilyn comes in, and Dick's like, well, let's go celebrate. It's like, let's go get it on. And he's taking the Ugly Duckling out to celebrate the signing of and he's the vice president now.
Yeah, he's a hot shot.
They're going to a Cheesecake Factory, and then
at least
she can order whatever she wants.
He should be more than vice president. Think about it. He got the signature, and it cost him $0.
Yes,
and
that's great. Yeah,
he got a snog out of it, or at least one, right?
Now, you would think that this would work out because he's already met the Munsters. Now, he's familiar with them. So it's not like all of Marilyn's other, boyfriends that come through or love interests that come through that when they first see them, they then hightail it out. So this should be the one for her.
Yeah, he's clearly, there's nothing that can shake this guy. He's like babysitter. He's unshakable now. And
he is actually a real prince via his bloodline.
Old blood.
Marilyn seems into him as well. It seems like it could work out. Yeah.
Yeah, she was like, she comes strolling in and she's like, "You ready to go?" And he's like, "Hell yeah."
And she's like, "Well, I'm not tired, so."
No,
she's been sleeping for like a week or something like that.
Not time for
I
bed
am dehydrated, but I am not tired. So Herman's like, "Here you go, you take the car." So he tosses him the keys.
Yeah.
To the Munster coach, which would be bitching, man. If I'm Dick A. Prince, I'm stoked. It's and plus, well, one, my name is Dick A. Prince. 2, I'm hanging out with Marilyn Munster. 3, I got this badass car.
Oh man,
and I'm going to be a vice president of the reliable oil company.
He's an oil man.
All things are looking up Dick.
Yes.
So Herman tosses him the keys. They leave, and but he says, "Get it back by midnight, or it'll turn into a pumpkin." Everybody laughs at that because this is clearly a thematic episode about princesses.
Which, pretty good joke to end on, I would say, but yet we still keep going.
That would have been where credits should have happened.
Yes.
But instead, Lily goes, "Oh, Herman, you're so sweet and thoughtful. When they made you, they broke the mold." She's rubbing his hands, and he goes, "Well, that doctor always was a Butterfingers." That's where we get the credits. Jesus Christ, Munsters, you had it. Had it right there.
Perfect. Yeah, they almost nailed it. That I was like, yes, and then it just keeps going. Like, oh, we're gonna end on a Frankenstein's monster joke again. Okay, cool.
This episode's gonna be 10 seconds short.
The other problem that they have here is that they open the episode. Obviously, the gas pill is almost like rocket fuel because Herman makes it around the block very fast.
Mm-hmm.
And then they give the keys at the end, and I'm expecting to maybe see them drive off at the end, and it really just takes off fast on them again. I don't know, something weird, but that's one of those things where I'm like, oh, we had a storyline going on here, this rocket fuel maybe getting into racing or something. I don't know. That never paid off, and I'm like, huh, what? Okay, but then he gives them the keys at the end. I'm like, oh, so it's gonna explode from the gas pill from earlier or something. That's what's gonna happen now. Marilyn's fine, but but Dick Prince blows up and dies.
He's not gonna be ready for the speed. Yeah, he's gonna take a corner a little too fast. Yeah.
Or you don't even need all of that grim overture. You can just have him get in the car, and then it just takes off really fast. Their eyes get really big, and then you go to credits. That's a good laugh. But no.
And then you hear a car crash, and then you just hear gasps, and it's the ambulance comes as the credits roll.
Oh, okay, back to the grim overture. That's a post-credits scene.
People are going I've never seen anybody look like this before. Oh,
he's hideous.
It's I haven't seen something like this since the orphanage blew up or whatever that guy said last time.
No, it wasn't orphanage. I think it was mortuary.
Oh, that's right.
The morgue. I haven't seen this since the morgue explosion.
Yep.
Not the orphan. I haven't seen this since a bunch of kids were killed in an orphanage explosion.
That's a little too grim. Yeah, maybe morgues are better. Yeah.
And then credits. There it was.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, what did you guys think of season 1, episode 12, "The Sleeping Cutie"?
I didn't care much for this one. It's because I'm left wanting to see a lot more of obviously Grandpa made some super fuel also, and there seemed to be something to go on there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things where they set you up for one thing, and I don't know, I almost wanted a whole separate side story simply based on that, along with the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just the scene with Eddie though gets at least
the Eddie scene is top notch. That was a weird twisted. There was an extra person in the writer room. It was oh, I like this.
That actually may be my favorite scene so far in the 12 episodes we've seen.
Nice.
Oh, that's a good scene. It is a good scene. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
What about you, Jerry?
This might be a bold take, but I think this might be my new favorite Munsters episode.
Wow.
I like this one quite a bit.
That's a bold take.
Yeah, I mean, it's got that Eddie scene we've been talking about. That's probably my second favorite joke in the whole series so far.
Same.
Doesn't quite top the, Frankenstein's baby thing, but It's close, and it's funny, and it's like I don't know. It's just there's something about it that's just like it is kind of eerie the way Eddie laughs. Like he's definitely eaten people before. And
Yes, he has. Yes, he has. That was my first thought, like cannibals.
I don't know. I thought it was pretty funny. I kind of liked I felt like it was pretty focused compared to a lot of others. There weren't like a lot of like plots hopping around. It really was kind of just about this weird pill, and then, well, I guess they kind of divert, now that I say that out loud, to the Sleeping Beauty thing. But I don't know, I felt like it was a little more like cohesive than usual, which is nice. And I thought, the jokes were actually pretty funny for most of it. They don't quite nail it at the end with the Frankenstein's monster joke.
They missed at the end.
But
it was not a clean dismount.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good, actually. It was not like perfect by any means, but enjoyable.
I'm right in the middle. I think this was not for me a particular. I love when sitcoms did like thematic episodes where it was like, it felt like a one-off, and it was like based like there's always a dream sequence, or they're doing something weird, or there's like gender swaps or just something weird, right? This is one of those episodes because it's based on a Sleeping Beauty. It has a theme to it, and they really leaned into that stuff. But it feels like a lot like Keith's complaint about the twin. It's way too early. Like they're running out of ideas. They're like, well, what do we do now with these? We have a family of crazy monsters. We've run out of ideas after 10 episodes.
What can we possibly do with that concept?
Well, what if we made it Sleeping Beauty? Like,
we're 12 episodes in. Grandpa's already made 6 inventions.
Yeah.
We're running out.
That's the thing that kills me. These inventions. Why is he inventing things? And being a magician. And being a vampire.
He feels bad that his son/son-in-law has to scare up the rent. He's trying to help out.
Yeah, it's just, but it's always this weird like quick get rich quick scheme with some crazy invention, and the inventions, when they work, are like civilization altering, right?
Yes.
Like all of human existence makes a quick turn in a direction for the better, but something screws him up. And
also, it seemed to really take him a long time to like put together the gas pill another time. Like he's got a working one already, and obviously he had the formula written down. Why did it seem to take like? Unless it's just because Marilyn kept coming in and bugging him for the sleeping pill. Like he constantly really seems like he's taking too long to like actually make it, and then loses the formula.
Yeah. And just burns it blindly.
Yes.
Those sorts of things really upset me. Like, well, it must be this piece of paper that I haven't looked at. I'm just going to burn it. Why?
Yeah.
Take 2 seconds and read it. Make sure it's the right one. It really takes 0 effort. That's the part that really pisses me off about stuff like that. It's like, oh, well. It's like, and it's so, plot thick. It's like that's the only reason he does it is because it advances the story.
That's true. Yeah.
In a terrible way. And it's like, all right, Munsters, I get it. But they have so many devices. Like they're literally a family of monsters, and they can't come up with ideas based off a family of monsters. So they have to have Grandpa invent things, which is a apt metaphor for the creation of their episode. They're like, well, we just got to invent an idea. Let's come up with something that relates nothing to the family whatsoever.
We've hammered in a Frankenstein monster jokes left and right, including a twin already. We've made sure that everyone knows this guy's a vampire. We don't really talk about Lily being a vampire much. Maybe we could focus on that a little bit more. Or maybe the Wolf Boy should get maybe something else going on.
Yeah, or even Marilyn. Yeah, anybody really. Yeah.
And if I would think if it's a matter of like how long can a kid be, get to be on screen, or like how much time they can actually work, like legal things. Like if you transformed him into like a wolf boy, you could, you put, an adult in some sort of an outfit.
Yeah.
Give us more about his little wolfy doll that he carries around. Or what's he love about it? Where's that from? There's a bunch of different things. Also, like you have the other universal monsters that aren't even really kind of touched upon yet that you could still bring in.
But we're only 12 episodes in, right?
That's true.
And they're a family of monsters. And if you can't generate ideas off the fact that you have a family of monsters, they have to bring in this weird invention angle all the time to spark story, then you're missing the point. That's the thing that kills me. It's like you got literal, just a family full of story generating ideas. You have to like, well, Grandpa invented a time machine. I guarantee that's happening. I guarantee that will happen.
Yeah, they don't really ever throw Munsters into ordinary day situations, which would be funny.
That's what you need.
Yeah. It's always like the mad scientist inventions or Herman's twin Frankenstein monster shows up. Yeah, it's stuff like that.
There's always some weird concoction to make the story go when they have 4 or 5 things that can make the story go at any given time. Oh, well. So for me, it's middle of the road. It's 7.7 feels very high, and I think people like it because of the weird Cinderella tie-in or whatever, Sleeping Beauty tie-in. Like, I get it. That's fine. And there were some solid jokes in this episode.
Yeah.
Mostly Eddie related. So.
Yep.
He scarfs down those lady fingers, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Is that the moment you were talking about, Keith? Because after they all go downstairs to catch on Marilyn, he grabs that plate of lady fingers and just starts scarfing down sandwiches.
Yeah. No, I messaged you guys earlier and said my part where the babysitter breaks.
Well, let's do that. What breaks the babysitter?
Yeah, I am going with Eddie's laugh because it is so sinister and like it's a tone that she wouldn't be aware of hanging out with the Munsters. Sure, when Herman gets angry and he stomps, he shakes the whole house. That's a little crazy. And I mean, I guess if Grandpa turns to that dog again, and tries to attack somebody and hopefully his contacts are right, it could be crazy. But man, this is just straight up like such a sinister, creepy laugh out of that kid. And so out of the blue. Like we've heard the cat roar, the raven says silly things all the time, nevermore and stuff like that, and whatever time it is. But like so off brand for Eddie too. He just seems like it's kind of maybe that's why they say he's such a nice boy earlier, because then that really emphasizes even more. Oh, he's a nice boy. And then he gives this, And that's what breaks her this week.
Okay, babysitter broken by Eddie's laugh.
Yeah.
The realization of that laugh. What has he done? Yeah.
There's more to that laugh than we know.
Yes. And if she was only partially broken, like maybe like when he starts shoveling in those lady fingers, it really
that's it.
It finishes it off. Yeah.
It might be made with real fingers. Yeah. I think when the babysitter would break is when, because they do talk about how hideous Marilyn is a lot in this episode. And I think something would finally click in her brain. It's like, wait, you think Marilyn's hideous? What does that make you think about me? What does that make you think about the rest of society? Are you like that presumptuous that you're
it's
like the
most existential break?
Yeah. It's
wow.
Like, I can't believe you've thought of me this way this entire time. And I think she'd just be so fed up and just kind of realize the view that these monsters are seeing the world. I think that would break her.
Yeah. That's a good break.
It is crazy that they don't question that about anybody else.
Nope. Just Marilyn.
It's very weird.
She's handicapped.
Oh, boy.
My break, I'm going to avoid the racist break. And I'm going to go...
Okay, fair enough.
I'm going to go... She breaks when Herman reads the business card. His name is Richard A. Prince. And they're like... She's like, he's a prince? And then... They're like, wait a minute, he goes by Dick? His name is Dick A. Prince? Dick a Prince? Wow. And that's the moment that breaks her, because for me, it broke me a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it made me realize that maybe she's the first person that realizes the innuendo. It's like, wait a minute, a Dick? A Prince? What? And... up until that point, people were like real happy calling people Dick. Hey, Dick. Hey, Dick. Hey,
it's
Dick.
A popular name.
Yeah. Everybody was named Richard. They had a tricky Dick Nixon, all sorts of dicks out there floating around. Everybody's got their dicks out. And then in this situation,
my grandpa's name was Richard. I never heard anybody call him Dick ever.
Yeah. This babysitter's like, wait a minute. It's Dick A. Prince? Oh, this is something. This is very, very, very unsettling and ribald indeed. And then she just runs out. She's like, I don't want to be here when this happens. Like it's a command.
She knows what's happening here.
That's what broke the babysitter.
If I could throw in a second option.
Oh,
He's got multiple breaks.
Well, no, it's when Dick goes in for the second kiss.
Oh, that's true.
And just stays with it for a while.
This is gratuitous.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, right. 7.7? Maybe not so much. But that's pretty good for a Munsters episode, right?
Yeah. That seems pretty high.
Yeah,
usually
high.
They're mostly in the 7-point-something range, I think, so far, right? And
then 7.7 is like the upper echelon so far.
Because I don't think we've had an 8 episode yet. Nothing's gotten to 8.
And I don't know if we will.
The Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail is an 8.
When it hits 8, that's when we'll know we finally made it.
And an 8 on a grading scale would be 80%, which would be very good.
Mm-hmm.
So we have not had a very good episode yet. We've had a lot of average episodes.
Yeah, C pluses.
Yep, C plus at best. Oh, right. Keith, what you got for people?
Oh, let's see. If things are going right, folks, next week the pop-up film cast will return.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
And we're gonna make a nice summer run because that's when all the best movies come out. I've handled all the details with the Witches of Destiny. Apparently, their contract with Blue Bunny expired and thus halted. Yeah, we'll get into it when we actually get to that episode. I'll explain the whole thing. But yeah, they've provided enough movies that we can do a nice little summer run. So tune into that May 24th. We're back.
Exposition that's coming up. I can feel it.
Oh boy, the lore is deepened. I'm excited.
Exposition.
Oh yeah. There's a whole new level of lore being added here.
Oh,
somebody needs to add that to the wiki.
I think it's some legalese, things like that. Yeah. Oh God! Please somebody make a wiki for Pop-Up Filmcast. That'd be great.
Terry, what do you got?
So yeah, I do another podcast called Run the Reel. We just talk about movies. We pick a theme usually. Sometimes it's like, I don't know, water movies or robot movies. This time we did directors. We're going to be covering Paul Thomas Anderson. A little more specific.
Water movies, robot movies. This time we did directors. Something every movie has.
Yeah. So maybe you would think we would have started with that, but this is the first time we're doing it, and it's exciting. Yeah. So far it's been a very interesting run. So yeah, they should be out eventually. I'm still kind of editing them, but yeah, eventually they'll be there. So keep your eyes open.
And as for me, nothing.
Oh, well.
I got nothing. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. So let's.
Okay.
Ingenuity.
Intelligence.
Oh, Terry.
And there's something
Imagination.
else there it is.
Intelligence. They do not work.
So they were out of order, I think. Yeah, we did it wrong.
Yeah.
Yep. But that's because it's always...
No, wait.
Keep on hunting. Yep.
It's like always
hunting season.
The Munster Hunters are Derek Glascock, Keith Gawla, and Terry Vickroy. Keith is the host of the Pop-Up Filmcast, and that was great, wasn't it? Both shows can be found wherever you subscribe to podcasts. For more about Keith's shows, you can follow Pop-Up Filmcast on Twitter at Pop-Up Filmcast. And that was great, wasn't it? At How Great Was That? You can also follow Keith on Twitter at KG3030. Terry is one of the hosts of Run the Reel. It's a movie podcast that does deep dives on films with a theme. You can follow Run the Reel on Twitter at Run the Reel. You can also follow Terry on Twitter at Terry_Vickroy. If you would like more musings from me, you can follow on Twitter at Derek the number 9 and the word 9. Follow Munster Hunters on Twitter at Munster Hunters and subscribe on your podcatcher of choice for more Munster Hunter fun. Munster Hunters is mixed and edited by me, Derek. All original music is composed and mixed by Terry Vickroy, and executive producers are me and Keith Gawla. The Munster Hunters is a Krispy Dodo production.